Okay, hello everyone. My name is Tatjana Luethi. I'm the executive producer of our upcoming fourth conference called Together. And in this episode, we will be having a conversation about the power of technology and marketing and how we may be able to use it as a tool for creating positive impact. So, joining us in this conversation today are Juston Brommel. He's a serial entrepreneur, an investor, an advisor, and also a marketing instructor at General Assembly in Santa Monica. Welcome, Juston. How are you today?
Thank you, Tatjana. I'm wonderful. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us in this conversation. Also, today we have Runa Bouius, an entrepreneur, conscious leadership consultant, and catalyst, a speaker and author. And Runa, you're also on the board of advisors and a co producer for the Together conference. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Tatjana. I'm really well and excited to be here with Justin and listen to his wisdom about technology.
Cool, very exciting, in fact. And both of you will be speaking at the upcoming conference together on September 13 and 14 in WeWork or at WeWork in Hollywood. So, what I want to do before we get into our conversation, I like to invite you both to briefly tell our listeners who you are and tell us a bit about, what is that you do. Runa, let's get started with you, if you wouldn't mind.
Right. I am CEO from Iceland, entrepreneur, had a career of 20 years there. And presently, we could say the word I like to use is I catalyze conscious leadership and the conscious business strategies that we will be talking about at this conference. So I advise leaders about leadership development. I give programs and design programs and retreats and advise people like you, Tatjana, that are up to really exciting things and supporting initiatives like yours that I know can have an enormous impact on where we are going on the planet in the future.
Yeah, thank you so much, Runa, for that summary and introduction. Justin, let's move over to you and please tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do professionally.
Okay, great. Thank you. Um, so I've been an internet marketer and run venture-funded internet businesses since 1998. And in the course of the last 15 or 16 years, I've had a great opportunity to see the business models change and the internet evolve into the highly efficient machine that it is today. And I say highly efficient machine because it's highly efficient to launch and run businesses today on the internet. And that's really what we'll get into in the presentation on site at the conference, and hopefully we'll talk a little bit about today. And in the course of you know doing this, following this path, I've had a chance to work with a number of large companies like StubHub, who was acquired by eBay, and Philosophy Skincare and Cosmetics, helped grow their digital business for years, and they were acquired by Coty. Very fun helping launch Virgin America online and some things like that. But I've also taken, I'd say in the last 5 or 7 years of my career, taken those experiences and been applying them to very intentionally to small and mid-sized businesses, early stage startups, info marketing businesses, and all with a interest and desire to be focusing on socially responsible businesses who are interested not just in making money, but in changing the planet and improving lives for people as they do.
Right, which actually leads me right into my first question to, really inquire what is it that you stand for, right? What are the values that you believe in and what makes you tick? What are you excited about?
Thank you. That's such a great question. I think everything that we do in life, we should have a value-based driver behind. Otherwise, we should consider whether we're doing it or not. And um, as I look at the next leg of my career and in the future of our survival of the species on the planet, um, applying these conscious principles, which have been a part of my life from, long time meditator and this sort of thing, but applying these conscious principles of tapping into source and really getting to know yourself and understand what that means at a level of depth that it shifts you in the outside world. And so marrying that kind of mindfulness wisdom, if you will, with the strategic and tactical implementation approaches of how to grow businesses successfully online. My belief is that the planet has got in our position, and I look at it at a very high level, and it seems like there's three big groups that were driving factors: governments, religious organizations, and businesses. And my personal area of focus happens to be the latter, and it's my belief that by shifting the business environment, we and the right leaders, whether they be initial entrepreneurs or the Elon Musks of the world who are kind of at the top of, or moving close to the top of that food chain, that we can very quickly make the kind of quantum leaps and changes on the planet that we need to really thrive as a species, which would be a great conversation to have. But right now it feels like the conversation is at best a survival conversation among the masses. And so that's where my interests lie, and where I hope to help influence the world and really move it from where it's headed now to where its potential lies.
Right, and I love what you said about really using business to shift how we currently are doing business, and how can we move it into a direction where business becomes a change agent, so to speak, to contribute to the greater good and provide the solutions that we need for our societal and our environmental challenges. So with what you shared with us and with what I know about you, it seems that you really have aligned and merged what it is that you're passionate about, which is technology and marketing and business, and being able to merge it with your vision of being able to make a difference to the extent where it includes and is a win-win situation for all stakeholders. So I think that's exactly what the topic is, also what we're aiming for at the conference. Let me ask, what might be some personal example of how you use technology and marketing to make that positive way? Is there like a particular project that you could share with us, or maybe something whom you worked with? What does that look like?
Yeah. It's at this stage in our evolution, as the technology revolution, which is getting to a point of being fairly mature. And I've got some things that I'll share at the conference around this, but the landscape of technologies that solve almost any need you can imagine in business is starting to get pretty crowded in each one of those categories. And so that's good in a lot of ways for business owners, because it means there are lots of options. That also means it's bad because there are lots of options. And so part of what I do in the world, and it is an area I'm extremely passionate about, is help filter through the many options and really demystify the confusion that can exist. And how do I build a website? How do I integrate an email database? How do I do my tracking? How do I manage my team? How do I do this? How do I do that?
Right.
There's so many different pieces there, but really simplifying that process down to which are the pieces that are best for different business models, and which pieces can really change my business and are worth the investment from a time and money standpoint, and which ones aren't. I think everyone's familiar with WordPress. It's become fairly ubiquitous for all small and mid-sized websites, or simple websites, even if they're large ones. And it's a great foundation to start from, but as you start to deviate from there, what's that suite of technologies look like? And for me, picking the right ones makes a big difference. And when you use them in the right way, you're able to really test and learn what works in your business, or what works for your customers or your constituents, and what doesn't. And so having the right technologies in place makes it easier to launch your businesses, and it makes it easier to learn from your businesses. And that process, which has become fairly popularized in terms of a lean startup or a lean development type of an approach, is something we'll touch on a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead, Runa.
Can I ask a question, Juston? And I am sure I represent so many people out there, and particularly the women. I hear so often that people say, yeah, the technology is great, but it's a little bit overwhelming. Isn't it eating us up? Aren't we losing connection with ourselves and with nature, because technology just seems to be taking charge of us, and this is so overwhelming that, I don't know whether this is a good thing. What do you advise people who are, we could say, resisting the evolution of technology? What can you advise them?
That's a really great question, Runa, and one that I think comes up in all circles. It seems like it's popular now to have these kind of weekend or week-long getaways where adults go to summer camps and they unplug and they leave their iPhones at home and this sort of thing, and there's no internet. And I think it's a really good example when you see, Silicon Valley type of professionals or Silicon Beach, folks stepping out and finding some level of balance. And I think the balance is the key word here. That maintaining balance in your personal life and in the world is pretty important. If you only sit behind the computer and you never interface with your audience in person, you're really not going to have the same quality of connection. If you only interface in person with your customer base, then you're dramatically limiting the number of people you can interact with, and it might take millions or thousands or somewhere in between to for your business model to work, and to find maybe the few that make sense to you, or if you're a publishing type of a company, to hit the scale that's needed to support a vision. And so as individuals and as businesses attempt to find that level of balance, usually that's kind of where the key comes into place. And as I think any type of change, the hardest part about change is not changing. And so resistance doesn't mean that what's on the other side isn't good. In fact, it's almost always the opposite, that when we look behind the closed doors or beneath the rocks, is usually where we find the gems. And that's true in our personal lives and our human development, and applying it to our businesses and our fear of technology can likely open up aspects of our business or ways to automate or run business models that are highly effective and highly productive. And it's certainly a trend that's happening, and I think it makes sense for anyone who can, and I think everyone can, to surrender a little bit and embrace the technology, as long as they maintain that sense of balance in their life.
What I hear you say, Juston, is really supporting the development of conscious leadership, because that's exactly what it is, what you described. So thank you.
And
wow,
Runa,
that's beautiful.
and to chip in what you both just were saying, I mean, I think you're really referring also to the aspect of balance, Runa, right? Being able and willing to learn, the aspects of technology and living in a digital age right now, yet also learning how to set healthy boundaries where we get to take care of ourselves and know where we need to go in order to rejuvenate ourselves. And at the same time, making sure that we do interact and relate to our customers. That's what I heard you say also, Juston. So as not to lose the understanding and the relatedness of our customers' needs and goals, right? By just sitting behind the computer all day long and not really interacting and engaging. Um, I think the other aspect I wanted to speak to really quick is earlier when you said, Juston, that there's truly a technology overwhelm and an information overwhelm, in the sense of there's so many services available these days, and how do you really filter out which one is right for you? And it probably also depends which stage you're in with your business as to which services you should use. So is that part of the process that we will be going through at the Together conference?
We will, that's right. And there's a popular infographic, if you will, that combines all of the digital marketing technologies. And it's something we'll take a look at. And in the course of the past just handful of years, it's grown from about 100 to about 1,000.
Oh my God.
And so it is overwhelming. And I look at it and I notice, hey, they're missing someone here, they're missing someone there. And certainly I don't know all those technologies, right?
Right.
It is overwhelming. And some are meant for, enterprises like, Orbitz or United Airlines or these type of companies, and many of them are perfectly tuned for, small and mid-sized businesses. So we'll take a look at that, but just to show what the landscape is. And then through the course of, my career, I've had an opportunity to work with a number of these technologies, and I try to stay up on the trends in terms of what people are using and why they like different ones. I'm constantly studying this, and so I'll be recommending a very small subset of that, 1,000 marketing technologies in the space, starting with WordPress as the obvious one for websites, and looking at, is Constant Contact or MailChimp or GetResponse, like what should we use in email?
Right.
And here's a couple pointers and why, and then we'll look at, well, what do I need to do to get reporting? And we'll take a quick look at that. And so we will touch on some of those elements to help give the audience a very actionable short list. And when it comes to technology, one of the challenges is, I don't understand it, so I don't know how to make a buying decision, or I don't know how to make a decision.
Right.
And even if I did, I wouldn't know how to implement it. And so separating those into two buckets. We certainly won't teach people how to implement the technologies, but what we'll, in a very short session at the conference, but what we'll absolutely do is help them make higher confidence decisions about which technologies to use and which business models, or which business models they're appropriate for. So they should, wherever they come into the conference, they should walk out of the conference, at certainly the next level of confidence and comfort around technology and around launching and growing their the internet-centric portion of their business.
Right. Wow, that's very exciting. I'm definitely looking forward to that. You
Say
also,
too.
yeah, I know, right? You also mentioned earlier lean startup principles and practices. How much of these principles are part of your daily activities and business activities? How much of that do you use in your marketing and just in your overall
Yeah.
strategies?
Yeah. A day doesn't go by that we're not leveraging those approaches, and they've really become the way business is done for a large sector of kind of the internet-centric businesses, and I embrace it fully, to the point where the way that technology teams typically manage development queues was called an agile development queue, and it's a lean methodology approach, and it's been adopted in some cases to the whole business, and that's how I run my businesses. And so it's really, at its simplest form, it's really a method of estimating what's going to happen, or creating a hypothesis that if we spend our time on X, or if we put this creative in front of our customers, Y is going to happen. And so based on that guess, let's implement it in as lean or as simple of a capacity as we can and get a quick learning back. And from that, we basically reprioritize our focus. And so we run a constant queue of projects, tasks, initiatives on the business side and the technology side that we're constantly on a daily, weekly basis revisiting and revising from a priority standpoint. Because every action you take, you get information from that action, and the goal is to be able to just feed that back into the group. And so, the era of let's get together monthly and plan is a era that's passed essentially. And so, getting together daily and making sure everyone's focused on the right things, and getting together weekly and reprioritizing the list of items is incredibly helpful, even in a team of 2 or 3 people, in making sure that they're not wasting their time. And that level of efficiency can double, triple, quadruple the output of a team. And so that's how I run my things that I work on.
Yeah, and I'm really fascinated by the principles and the practices of the lean startup, because what I really see, so you're saying basically it was extracted from the software development industry and has been recycled and repurposed and plugged into how can we use it with business and technology in general. And the other aspect that I see with this is it also transforms certain personal mindsets on how to go about, accomplishing a certain goal. Here's what I mean by that. Many times I talk to women and find that what holds them back is the need of needing to be or wanting to be perfect. And with the lean startup principles, there's no perfectionism out there. You just experiment and iterate and get the validated learning that you just mentioned, and then adjust from there. So I love how it's a twofold opportunity for development. It occurs on the personal level and it occurs on the business level. So I'm really fascinated with this.
I love that.
Can I add that I have really enjoyed testing this model out with Tatjana and Rocio, the core team of putting this conference on, because we have really been doing it this way. We look and reprioritize, and it's just been a very organic process, and it really calls on creativity and very quick problem solving, and just throwing ideas out there and see if anything lands, and go from there. So it's really an exciting model to work from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. It really is.
That's great to hear. It's a really good example.
Okay, so we are actually at the end of our time that we have for today. So I'm just gonna wrap it up at this point. I would like to repeat the dates for our conference. So the conference is next week. It will be on Saturday and Sunday, September 13 and 14, at WeWork in Hollywood. And again, the whole theme is around how to build a conscious business, but also all the principles and the practices that we're going to be delivering at the conference also apply for anybody that is interested in creating a meaningful and purpose-driven, prosperous career. So it really applies to both areas. And the format of the conference is designed to inspire purpose, to clarify direction, and take effective actions. We will have inspiring panel conversations, and we have hands-on workshops around the topics such as conscious leadership, conscious business structures, new go-to-market strategies, and marketing practices with Juston. For more information, please go to schooltogether.com. I also want to take an opportunity here to thank our sponsors, Whole Foods in Venice, WeWork in Hollywood, and our Runa Bouius here with us today. Also, Rocio Villalobos from Vidra Media, AIGA Los Angeles, and we have a whole list of partners and supporters and collaborators for this conference listed on our conference website. And I just really want to say this is truly a co-creative and collaborative conference. All the people that have come together to make this happen, it is truly a phenomenal experience. So I just want to mention that. And that's really it for today. So we will be seeing you both next week at the conference. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for putting this up, Tatjana. This is wonderful.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Juston, for being here today, and we will see you next week. Bye, Runa. Bye, Juston.
Thank you. Bye-bye.